Garnet had always known the voices of the forest, the whisper of leaves, the hum of roots beneath the soil, the slow, steady breath of ancient trees. But now the song was fractured, the balance he had spent a lifetime protecting teetered on the edge of collapse, not only from the encroaching destruction of the outside world, but from within. Violet's fire was not just flame, it was desperation, a hunger for survival that threatened to consume all they were. Garnet stood at the threshold of change, knowing that the hardest path was not one of destruction or surrender, but of finding another way. You are listening to the final reworking of one of the species from the first edition of the Fantasy Creature Contest. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll leave you a link in the description. In a nutshell, together with my community, I created a large number of fantasy or science fiction creatures. It is a creative effort aimed, despite its name, at encouraging sharing rather than competition. You can find a written version of this species on my website, www.francescogozzoauthor.com, if you want to read the details at your leisure. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the other creatures and the grand tournament, during which we will choose our favorite. Also, if you want to actively support the channel, you can do so through Patreon or by purchasing some of my books on Amazon, links in the description. Chapter 1 Introduction. Presentation. Faurils are ancient forest spirits embodying the living essence of the woodlands realm they protect. As steward of nature's balance, they are deeply intertwined with the cycle of growth, decay and renewal within their forests. Their presence is a reminder of the primal magic that flows through every leaf and root, standing as both guardians and voices of the natural world. Despite their serene and mature nature, the rising threads of industrialization and ecological decay have forced some to embrace darker paths, creating tensions within the society they fight to preserve their sacred growth. Physical appearance. Faurils possess forms that blend the texture of bark, vines, and lush greenery with humanoid shapes. Their skin ranges from rough, woody surfaces resembling ancient trees' bark to smooth, moss-covered limbs, often accented by creeping ivy or delicate blossoms. Their eyes glow softly like forest lanterns, and their hairs flow like woven leaves and tendrils. Towering and statuesque when merged with tree roots, they can shift from delicate vine-like frames to immersive living fortresses of woods and foliage. Chapter 2 Traits and Mechanics. Abilities. The Faurils wield the magic of the forest itself, capable of performing the heartwood communion to channel the collective vitality of surrounding flora and fauna, enabling feats like revitalizing dying woods or summoning dense protective thickets. They cultivate elemental blooms, enchanted plants imbued with unique powers such as healing, defense, or entrapment. Their shape-shifting abilities allows them to merge with trees, becoming living fortresses in battle, or blending seamlessly with their environment for stealth and protection. Languages. Faurils communicate through a natural symphony of sounds, rustling leaves, creaking branches, and the soft shifting of roots, which forms a subtle but complex language understood by their kind. Their written language consists of intricate glyphs carved into woods or etched in bark, often woven with natural dyes on living moss. While they inherently know the root tongue, the language deeply connected to the forest magic, Fauril learns the language of neighbor races, adapting their natural communication to more conventional speech when needed. Subspecies. Facing the decline of their traditional magic, some Faurils have turned to darker sources, becoming elemental hybrids by infusing themselves with volatile elemental energies like volcanic magma, storm lightning, or swamp rot. These transformations grant great power to confront threats, but some at the cost of their spiritual purity and harmony with nature. Known as Blightforge's Faurils, Faurils, they embody the damage and corruption. Known as blight-forged Faurils, they embody the damage to corrupted or dying forests, marked by burning bark, toxic fumes, and unnatural jagged forms. Their emergence has caused deep divisions within Fauril society, leading to debates and civil conflicts over the price of survival in changing worlds. Chapter 3: Culture and Traditions. Society. Faurils live primarily in tightly knit, settled enclaves deeply embedded with ancient forests. These communities resemble interconnected groves where each individual contributes to the health of their environment. Their society is organized into specialized groups rather than rigid castes. Wardens of the groves serve as elders and decision makers. Seed bearers expand their territory through reforestation. Verdant sentinels defend the community, and caretakers of the bloom nurture magic plants. Leadership tends to be communal and consensus-based, emphasizing harmony with nature or authoritarian rule. Families are often bonded to specific trees or forest sections, creating lifelong spiritual and social ties. Psychology and personality. Fauril generally exhibit a calm and stoic temperament, marked by patience and deep introspection. Their dominant emotions lean towards hope and reverence for the cycle of life, though underlying anxieties about ecological decline can spark fear or fierce protectiveness. They display a contemplative demeanor, often moving deliberately and speaking softly, mirroring the rhythm of the forest. Distinctive behavior include moments of quiet stillness, ritualistic tending to flora, and subtle shift in posture reflecting their connection to their surroundings. While generally peaceful, they can become fiercely determined defenders of their home when their home is threatened. Values and philosophy. At their core, Faurils value harmony, balance, and survival, not just of their own kind, but of the entire ecosystem they embody. They see good as actions that sustain life and evil as forces that disrupt natural cycle or bring destruction. The race holds a largely idealistic view of the world, believing in renewal and the possibility of healing, though some factions express pragmatism or fatalism in response to relentless external threats. Factions. Fauril society revolves around their stewardship of the forest, with distinct roles in supporting preservation and growth. Warden of the groves act as elders, leaders, and mediators, maintaining ecological balance and resolving disputes. Seed bearers carry enchanted seeds to expand forest territory, reclaiming deforested lands. Verdant sentinels serve as warriors, transforming into massive living fortresses to defend their home and patrol its borders. Caretakers of the bloom nurture rare magical plants that sustains the forest's deep magical currents and the Faurils themselves. The rise of the elemental hybrids has fractured Fauril society, splitting it between the traditionalist Green Accord, who reject the corrupted elements and seek harmony and healing, and the blight-forged Faurils, who embrace volatile transformation as necessary for survival against industrial threats. This division had left forests fragmented, with purist-led regions thriving and hybrid-influenced areas falling into blight, while neutral zones often bear the burn of their conflict. Rituals and celebrations. Fauril's culture is deeply spiritual, centered on rituals that connect them to the natural cycles of their environment. The rooting ceremony is a rite of passage where young Faurils bond with a specific tree or forest section, anchoring their life force to that place. The blooming festival, held in spring, celebrates renewal and growth through communal singing, dancing, and the spreading of enchanted seeds to strengthen their connection with the forest. The mourning of the bark is a solemn ritual honoring destroyed forest areas, while Faurils sing laments to guide their spirits back into the cycle of rebirth. Arts. Fauril art is deeply spiritual and intimately tied to the natural world. Music consists of harmonious melodies, mimicking wind through leaves and flow of water, often performed during communal rituals like the blooming festival or mourning of the bark. Dance is fluid and rooted in storytelling, portraying the life cycles of the forest through graceful movements. Sculpture and craft involve living materials, intricately woven vines, carved wood, and blooming flowers, creating ever-changing works that celebrates growth and decay. Recurring motifs motif includes spirals symbolizing cycles, leaves representing renewals, and roots signifying connection. Education. Knowledge is primarily transmitted orally and experientially, with elders and wardens serving as mentors who guide the young through the rite of passages like the rooting ceremony. Education centers on the understanding of forest ecology, magical practices like heartwood communion, and the responsibilities of stewardship. While there are no rigid castes, certain roles such as seed bearers or caretakers of the bloom require specialized training. Chapter 4. Relationship and interactions. Relationship with other species. The Faurils maintain varied relationships shaped by their role as nature's guardians. They hold a sacred alliance with druids, collaborating to heal lands and preserve natural balance. Acting as protectors of wild folk and smaller wooden beings, they provide sanctuaries and sustain the ecosystem that these creatures depend on. While generally distrustful of industrialized society, some Faurils factions engage as diplomats or mediator, seeking to bridge the divide between nature and civilization to prevent further harm. Chapter 5. History and Mythology. Origins. The Faurils emerged from powerful ancient druidic rituals designed to counter early threats to nature balance. These rites fused wandering forest spirits with the enduring life force of mighty trees, birthing beings whose very existence was intertwined with the health and vitality of woodlands they guard. This sacred bond grants them remarkable abilities to protect and nurture their forests. Yet, as industrialized expansion and widespread deforestation have steadily drained the forest strength, the magic sustained the Faurils has weakened, casting uncertainty over their survival and the future of natural world they embody. Chronicles and Wars. Throughout their history, the Faurils had endured devastating wars against expanding human settlements and destructive forces seeking to exploit their forests. Their chronicles speak of fierce battles defending sacred groves, migrations to untouched wilderness, and allegiance forged with druidic orders in others' nature spirits. Legendary figures includes Warden Eldoran, who united fragmented clan to repel invaders, and the martyrly seed-bearers Lizara, who sacrificed herself to seed a dying forest. Legends and symbols. Fauril legends often centers on the Root Mother, the primordial forest spirits from whom all life flows, embodying creation, growth, and renewal. Moral parables teach the importance of balance, patience, and respect for all living things, warning against hubris and greed. Sacred objects like the heartwood staff, created from the oldest living tree, are revered as conduits of ancient wisdom and power. Symbolical spirits represent the eternal cycle of life and death, intertwined roots signifying unity, and blooming flower stands for hope and renewal. Role in recent events. Today the Faurils are a race caught between survival and extinction. While some enclaves thrive in protected forest sanctuaries, many others struggles as industrialization and environmental degradation encroaches relentlessly. The ideological conflict between traditionalists and the more radical elemental hybrids has further fragmented their communities, leading to internal strife alongside external threats. Chapter 6. Magic and Technology. Magic and Knowledge. Faurils perform the Heartwood Communion, a ritual that channels the forest collective magic through their bodies, temporarily merging the life force of nearby trees, plants, and creatures. These allow them to rejuvenate dying forests, summon protective tickets, or unleash nature's wrath against threats, though overuse risk weakening the connection flora. Additionally, Faurils cultivate elemental blossoms, enchanted plants imbued with power such as explosive seed pods, healing blossoms, or ensnaring vines. These magical blooms, tended by caretakers of the bloom, serve as both tool and weapon, and act as living indicators of the forest's overall health and vitality. Technology and innovation. The Fauril possesses a technology level best described as organic primitive, relying on living craftsmanship rather than metal or stoneworks. Their inventions are cultivated rather than forged, bridges grown from intertwined roots, homes sculpted from living trees without harm, and defensive tickets woven to repel intruders. Elemental blooming and the shape of the living woods are among their most iconic practices, blending magic and biology into seamless symbiosis. Even tools and weapons are extensions of the forest itself. Spears steeped with the hardened thorn, armor woven with bark and vines, and communication network using the resonant echoes of hollow branches. To the Faurils, any form of technology that disrupts nature balance is seen not as progress but as corruption. Chapter 7. Religion and Divinity. Beliefs. Fauril revered the Root Mother, the primordial spirit of all forests, worshipping her through living shrines crafted from intertwined roots or flowering vines. These shrines are adorned with offerings like enchanted seeds and rare blossoms, serving as sacred sites for meditation, guidance, and ceremonies that honor the forest cycle of growth and decay. When Fauril or a great tree dies, their essence is returned to the forest in the rite of eternal rest, a solemn ceremony where the body is absorbed into the earth, accompanied by harmonizing chanting. This ritual ensures the departed energy nourish new life. Pantheon. The Faurils pantheon is led by a Root Mother, the primordial spirits of all forests who governs growth, renewal, and the eternal cycle of life and decay. Lesser deities include Thalendor, the Canopy Lord, protector of the high, broad, and aerial creatures, Silara of the bloom, guardian of flower, pollinators, and magical fertility, and Mirathorn, keeper of the deep roots and subterranean life, often called upon for endurance and unseen strength. In times of conflict, some Faurils also invoke Ashbark, a grim spirit of wildlife and rebirth, embodying destruction as a necessary precursor to renewal. Worship is carried out at living shrines, where prayers are sung through harmonies with the forest's natural sounds. Chapter 8. Adventurers. Motivations. Many Faurils take to the path of an adventurer out of necessity or calling. Some journey beyond the forest to seek ancient seeds or forgotten druidic relics capable of restoring their waning magic. Others as emissaries to distant lands, striving to forge alliances against the forces destroying nature. Elemental hybrids often venture forth to test their volatile power or to seek redemption for the corruption they bear. And there are those driven by prophecy, vision whispers by the Root Mother herself, leading them to places where the fate of the natural world hang in the balance. Chapter 9. Narrative Archetypes. Typical role in narratives. Faurils are more often cast as guardians of nature, steward defenders of the forest against encroaching civilization or supernatural blights. They make compelling wise allies, their deep connection to the land offering guidance and ancient knowledge to heroes. As antagonists, they can serve as fierce, unyielding protectors whose defense of the forest come into direct conflict with the party's goals. Conflicts and dramas. Within Fauril society, ideological rifts run deep. Traditionalists of the Green Accord advocate for harmony and patience, while the Blight-forged hybrid embrace adaptation through dangerous elemental corruption. This division fuel internal power struggles, occasional civil wars, and painful family schism. Externally, the Faurils contend with industrialized empires, seeking to strip their lands, as well as hostile magical entities that prey upon the forest's lifeblood. Themes. Faurils embody the timeless struggle between preservation and change, nature and progression, purity and corruption. Their story resonates with themes of ecological stewardship, the balance between tradition and adaptation, and the sacrifice required for survival. Throughout them, narratives explore the price of power, the moral weight of transformation, and the resilience of life in the face of destruction. Chapter 10. Narrative Applications. Plot ideas. A dying forest calls upon outsiders to recover a stolen seed containing its heart. A faction of Blight-forged Faurils seek an ancient volcanic relic to strengthen their power, threatening to plunge the forest into ruin. A Root Mother prophecy reveals that the forest's salvation lies beyond its border, requiring a band of Faurils to brave the industrial world they despise. Or a secret natural grove where warring factions meet under truce become the site of a political assassination that risks total civil war. Interesting settings. The Heartbloom Grove serves as the spiritual and political heart of Fauril society. This colossal, ancient tree rises above the canopy. Its trunk is so vast it houses an entire network of chambers, council halls, and shrines within its living wood. Vines bearing glowing blossoms coil along its branches, shedding bioluminescent light on the gathering places below. The grove is both sanctuary and fortresses. Its roots standing like a living labyrinth beneath the earth, forming hidden passages and defensive choke points in time of war. Iconic characters. Among the most renowned Faurils are Thalorian Leaf Warden, a venerable warden of the grove whose wisdom has mended countless clan disputes. Vaeltra the Blightforged, a fearsome hybrid warrior with charred bark and storm-lit eyes, who walks the fine line between savior and destroyer. Ceres of the Bloom, a gentle healer whose enchanted blossom can cure even magical afflictions, though she secretly battles a creeping corruption within herself. Koran Rootwalker, a tireless seed-bearer, wandering distant lands to sow new enchanted forests. And Ashvale the Ashbark Prophet, a controversial mystic who preaches that fire destruction will birth a renewed and stronger woodlands. And that's all for now. There are certainly some details we can perfect, aspects to expand, and I would like to write a short story for each of these creatures. I'll see what to do in the future, but in the meantime, I can't wait to kick off the grand tournament!